This presentation may contain forward-looking statements. We are all being asked to do more, whether it's responding to a challenging or competitive business environment or dealing with working from home while homeschooling and childcare. It can be hard enough to keep track of everything that's even going on, let alone be focused on the right things. My name is Robin Sherwood, and I'm going to be talking about portfolio management. And we can use this as a way to help you manage the work that's coming in, create a visibility and transparency within your organization, and maximize the unique skills of your teams. Portfolio management is a discipline that can help ensure you are focusing on the right projects to meet your strategic goals of your organization and help make sure that you are effectively utilizing your resources so that they are more engaged and more productive. A typical portfolio management lifecycle encompasses lots of different processes. And most people are not going to try and tackle all of this at once. So we're going to talk today about the three most common entry points into portfolio management, or PPM as it's often referred. There's demand management and intake, portfolio reporting and monitoring, and finally resource management. Demand management is a great starting point for people who are typically saying things like, I'm totally overwhelmed, my team is drowning, and I have too much work coming in, and I don't have a good process around controlling that. And this can help you establish a centralized process and mechanism for keeping yourself from being flooded by too much work. It allows you to put priorities around what decides whether a project should be taken on or not. Reporting and monitoring, or portfolio reporting, is something that's typically happening during the execution phase, and oftentimes people are spending an inordinate amount of time creating status reports. And if you're spending a lot of time on status reports and not a lot of time on actually doing the work or managing your teams, this might be a great entry point for you. And then thirdly, a very common entry point for people is going to be resource management. And this is most likely going to be if you've got specialized resources. So when you are managing or when you are staffing your projects, you really need to take into account more nuance than I have an engineer or 5 engineers. I need to understand their specific skills. Maybe they speak a foreign language. Maybe they have particular programming experience, or they have experience with an important strategic client, and you want to make sure that the right people are being attached to your projects. So this is a good starting point if these are your challenges. Okay, so we're going to now look at how this works inside of Smartsheet. And the first one we're going to start off with is this intake and demand management process. So here we have a simple sheet, and this sheet is, you can really set this up however you want. We've got some basic columns in here like project name and objective. We've got a number of different stakeholder columns, department, some KPIs, and this is really going to map to your business. You can define whatever columns you want. This is also going to, this will be the sheet that we use to intake all of our new project requests. But the other thing we can use this sheet for is we can use this to start capturing an inventory of all of our in-flight work. Because if we really want to have an effective demand management process, we also need to understand what's already in play so that we can decide when we can take on new work. The way we're going to capture this information is we're going to use a web form. And Smartsheet has this great forms capability built into it. I've already created a form for this sheet, but this is just, I'm going to show you this really quickly. It's a very simple drag and drop interface. You can pull fields into your form, and you can set, whether you want them to be required. It really takes just a couple of minutes to set up this form. You can also click on the open form button. This is what the actual people will see when they click through to the form. This is obviously got a subset of the fields that I have in the entire sheet. The sheet might actually contain things like a scoring model or something where you want to rate projects as they're coming in so that you can make a more objective decision about whether you should take the work on or not. And you can grab this URL, you can paste that URL in an email, you can post it on a Smartsheet dashboard, or you can even add that to a SharePoint site or something if you're using another intranet type product in your organization. So now that we've got data coming in, we've got our inventory, and we've created a way to capture new project requests, we're going to we need to add some rules to this sheet to make it to create an approval policy or to create a routing for our new rules. And here we're going to use the Smartsheet automation rules. These are also very simple to set up. It's essentially going to allow you to do things like when a new form or when a new project is submitted, I want to get a notification, or I want to route that notification to a particular group of people and get their approval, or maybe I need to send a notification or a update request to the business stakeholder and get their buy-in from it. And these are very simple to set up. You basically define a filter, and then you can choose which kind of actions you want, whether it's a notification or an approval or an update request, and you can send that out. So we've created a form, or we've created a sheet, we've created a form, and then we've set up a number of workflow rules to define what our intake process is going to be. And this is all in one sheet. So this is kind of done. But now what we want to do is maybe we want to start to communicate to a broader audience where things are at in this pipeline. And so what we'll do here is I've got another sheet that I've created, and it's very simple. It's just got a couple of columns in it. This is what we would call a metric sheet. And it's kind of like a pivot table that we've created. All I've really done here is I've taken some attributes of that intake sheet that I was working on, and I've doing some cross sheet formulas here to total up some different things. So I'm looking at the various stages of or the various types of projects that I've got and whether they're in the request or approval state. And how that surfaces for my broader organization is I've created a dashboard. And our dashboarding product is very flexible. It's very easy to use. You don't have to be a developer or a BI expert. You can just go in here and add simple widgets and define them using some really simple UI to set up. We've got a number of metrics created. We've got some charts created about my overall portfolio. But what I wanted to show you was this metric sheet that we were just looking at. I have that represented here in my dashboard as well as part of my overall dashboard, showing you kind of those categories as a chart. So it's a little more visual presentation, and I can share this dashboard out with a broader set of stakeholders. The other thing that I have in here is I've got a copy of my project intake sheet or a report based on it, and this allows me to share that all the work that is in flight plus all of the projects that are pending requests in one place. So that's kind of our intake process in a nutshell. We've got a sheet to capture everything. We've got forms and workflow rules to drive that, and then we're surfacing the output of that in a dashboard. You may also notice that each one of these live projects in my project list here has a hyperlink here, and I'm going to click on this 2017 Center of Excellence project, and now you see I've got this complete sort of project dashboard, and this gets into our second piece where we were talking about portfolio monitoring and reporting. Here I've got an entire, this is essentially my status report. It was created automatically for me. It was designed in advance, and then it was created as part of my project provisioning process. And I want to show you how we do that. And this is really going to save a lot of time because all of this is being rolled up automatically from the underlying project assets. So I've got a RAID log, I've got some budget information, and I've got my milestone report. The way we do this in Smartsheet is we're actually going to leverage a premium application called Control Center. And what Control Center allows you to do is really package up your processes and your best practices into what we call a blueprint or tile. I've got a tile here called IT App Development. And if I click through this, you can see actually there are a list of templates that are included in this. So I've got a dashboard, my project plan, I've got a budget sheet, and these are all configurable by you, and you can define these, and then you create a replicable process. So you can really scale this out to your organization because everything is being done in a consistent way. Clicking through this, I'm just going to show you that this is actually being driven off of that intake sheet. So in here, you'll notice this is already filled out. That's because I have a project here. This was a project that was in my intake sheet that's not yet been provisioned. And so if I select that, it's going to automatically populate everything, all the metadata from that intake. And then it's also going to attach all of those key sponsors and stakeholders that were also part of my intake sheet. All of this there again is configurable, and you can really model it to whatever you need in your organization. So if I click create project, And I'm just going to jump over here, kind of like, cooking show style. Here's the one that's already done. It's going to create a working folder for this project. It's going to have a set of reports. It's going to have my set of sheets. And then it's also got that project dashboard in here. And this is automatically provisioned. It's also connected to that initial portfolio level dashboard that we looked at to begin with. All of this data is going to automatically roll up into that as well. So I don't have to go and create these status reports every week. They're going to be real time. They're going to be connected to the underlying assets in the project plan. So if I click on a project plan here, I've got got the more detailed flow. My team can work in this. I can assign tasks in here, and maybe they're filling them out in the app. Maybe they're using an update request or a mobile app. As they complete those tasks, that status is going to automatically be folded into that project dashboard that we saw at the beginning. This view can also be switched to card view, so people can have filtered views on this and work very independently and at the execution level, and have that automatically roll back up into your project dashboard. Okay, so that's kind of now we've talked about the first two segments of this process. We've got the intake process, and we've got the portfolio monitoring process. So let's go look at the third entry point we talked about, resource management. So for resource management, we're going to look at another product that 10,000 Feet has called another product that Smartsheet has called 10,000 Feet. And 10,000 Feet is actually a standalone resource management tool that we are now integrating with Smartsheet. And we will have a deeper dive on the integration, but I wanted to show you a couple things about 10,000 Feet in the first place. So resource management becomes really critical, especially when you have when you're managing a lot of different types of resources, and you need to understand individuals' unique skill sets as you're planning your projects. Here in 10,000 Feet, I'm in sort of the heart of the app, which is the schedule page. And you can see this really nice heat map, so I can quickly, at a glance, see which of my team members are over allocated and which ones have capacity. But the key thing about 10,000 Feet is it really allows you to define a bunch of really rich metadata on individuals, and it's all very customizable. So you can really set up as many properties on people as you need to be able to staff your projects effectively. I'm going to look at this project here where I'm going to look at my people filters, and I'm actually going to filter this down to my creative team. And you can really pivot this however you want. You can set up custom teams. You can create locations or regions. That's really up to you. And I'm going to look at Andy here. Andy is very over allocated, or is about 50% over allocated. So let's look at what's going on with him. He's got two projects here. I think this is, and this one, he is kind of bumping his allocation. So what I want to do is I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to reschedule Andy. So I'm going to click down here and reassign, and you'll notice when I pull up the reassign box, it actually has some properties about Andy. So it's suggesting right now only people that completely match Andy, but maybe I don't need someone in Boston, and I don't need an executive. I need someone in the creative team. And so I can see here that Ken's available, and so I can go ahead and reassign that work to Ken. So now I've fixed Andy's over allocation, and I've made sure that I'm fully utilizing Ken. The other thing that I can see with Andy is he has his own page, and he has the ability, and within here, I've also got a time and expenses page. So this is really important if you're looking to track actuals with your projects. I know this is important for a lot of cases, and there's a very simple time and expense tracking in here. Okay, so I know that was a lot. That's sort of our solution for PPM in a nutshell. There's a number of different places you can start, but I will say that there's some great sort of exciting stuff coming too. So first of all, we have some other tracks in this session that I encourage you to check out. There are a lot, they go deeper into each one of these topics. The other thing I want to point out is we have this great book offer right now. We've been working on a book with Murali Kunithmali, and he's written this awesome book about PPM to show you how to get it set up in your organization, and some really great detailed how-tos on how to build it in Smartsheet doing a lot of the things that I just showed you today. So for next steps, check out the other sessions, and then we've also got some links here to online resources that you can use to tackle your own PPM journey. So good luck out there.